Hello friends, welcome back to another Planty video. My name is Shannon and this is Planted 386. If this is your first time here, welcome. We like to do all things planty over here, so if that's your thing, I hope you will consider subscribing. We are also on TikTok and Instagram, and I post a little more frequently over on those platforms, so you can find me over there as well. And if you're returning, thank you so much for coming back. We appreciate you. Today's gonna be a fun one. I have some recent Planty acquisitions to show you, and I'm very excited about that. I have been trying to be really good about adding to my collection and really just kind of focusing on the plants that I have that bring me the most joy and potentially downsizing to just those plants or that specific genus. I still have yet to do my Monstera collection, and I will do that. It's just one of those videos that's a little bit more time consuming, but I still have an entire genus to share with you. But today we're going to focus on what's new. My birthday's coming up, so I have been a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? A little bit, I guess, more lax on buying a couple things, but we're going to reel that back in. And yeah, I'm just excited to show you what I have. And without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so the first one I have for you guys is this Rhipsalis here, which is no surprise if you've been around. You know that I'm a sucker for a good Rhipsalis, and this one is just exploding out of the basket. And I literally I saw it at a little local place close to us. I don't believe they sell online, or I would tell you where I got it, but it's just a little local greenhouse, and I couldn't leave without it. But I went there specifically because I found out that they had monkey tail cactus, and I have been on the hunt for a monkey tail cactus for a long time. They're kind of hard to come by. I never find them locally. It's usually, I'll see them like if I search for them online, but something about ordering them online, I really prefer to just support local growers if I can. So I found out anyways that they had propagated one of their large mother plants, and I was just kind of waiting for it to root. And they told me at the last plant swap that they had some, and they were going to put my name on it. So I went and picked my monkey tail up, and this was just kind of like a bonus. I don't know the specific variety or whatever, but I just think he's so cool. I haven't officially figured out where I'm gonna put him yet, but mainly that's because I want to switch up the pot. I want to put it in like a nice fun pot, and I just haven't figured out what that's going to be yet. So in the meantime, he's just kind of hanging out here. I think he's so cool. I'm not sure about these guys at the top. I may take this one here and this one here. Hey. And yeah, propagate and just kind of go from there. Something about these two throws it off a little for me, but yeah, I love him. So speaking of monkey tail, these are the little monkey tails that I found. This is the one that they had held for me. This is the one they had put my name on, and I think he's so cute. He's fun, but I don't know, I really liked this one too. And so I thought eventually maybe I would put them into one pot and just kind of see where that goes. But for now, I just kept them as is. I know that they are recently rooted. I know the girl that propagated them had said that they had taken a while to root, so I don't really want to disturb it, and this one just has tons of little growth points. I will say it must like where I have it, because these little tiny points have already grown. which is wild. And I've only had this maybe a week. So yeah, that's very interesting. They're so cute. I'm so enamored by it. So let me show you the other one a little bit closer. I do have them in 2 different places because I kind of wanted to experiment with humidity. I've heard that these don't love a ton of humidity, so I have this one here growing in the cabinet behind me, and I think he's grown. I think this little point seems a little larger. And then the other one I have growing in like my succulent window, so we'll see. We shall see, but I just thought they were so cute. I'm so excited to have this. And it feels good to check one off the wish list because I've wanted this one for a while, so I feel validated in it. Okay, so this next one's pretty exciting. I would say I've had this one probably the longest, or right up there with the longest of the ones that I'm going to show you today. This one I got back in, I want to say June. So this is Anthurium, variegated Anthurium water dragon. And I did get this from Blue Moon. This was another one that I had on my wish list for a while. I had never even heard of this Anthurium until going to her place, and she has a huge one, like a massive, massive, beautiful, beautiful specimen. And I didn't even know it was an Anthurium. I just noticed the variegation, and it kind of has like some pink, or it was like a burgundy-ish kind of throughout the leaves, and I just was like, man, that is so amazing. What is that? And so she told me, and I found this little guy at her place. It's grown quite a bit since I've had it, but we did kind of go down like an acclimation period, if you will. So it recently gave me, the first leaf it gave me was this one here. It's kind of hard to show this one, you guys. It's a little wonky. So the one that's closest to my face right here, this one is the first one that it gave me, and I was so thrilled because such a beautiful leaf. I have struggled with watering in this plant. I also repotted it. It had some massive roots. I think I made a reel or a story on it somewhere repotting this. But anyway, so I repotted it. It gave me that leaf. Then it gave me this one, which I was a little sad to see that it didn't have any variegation, which kind of comes with it sometimes. And then it gave me this one, which this is just now like hardening off. It's not even fully hardened off yet, and it's already putting out this one. And I think this leaf is going to be amazing. So yes, I'm excited to have this one. It's, like I say, pretty new to me. We're still kind of figuring each other out. I'm definitely going to have to figure out a way to support these petioles, I think. I'm not really sure. I'm a little afraid to repot it. If you've been around, you know I'm pretty generous when it comes to repotting Anthurium, but this one I'm a little bit nervous about. So I'm trying to come up with a way to just kind of hold these together until she settles in, you know what I mean? I know I've seen those cool wire like petiole holders. Maybe that's something to look into, but yeah, she's a beaut. Okay, so next is one that might be a little bit of a surprise to some of you. It's a pretty common Hoya, but not one that I have found around me very often. Actually, I'm not sure I've ever come across it like in the wild near me, but at my plant swap that we host here locally, someone had brought this, and I cannot remember who it was now, It might have been our resident Hoya gal. I think maybe she brought one, and I was like, oh wow, just a Hoya, you know, Carnosa Queen. So this is it. I've had it for 2 months, I would say. It's done absolutely nothing at all. I'm not sure why. Sometimes I run into this with Hoya where it takes them a while to get started. So I kind of keep her, I don't have her in a cabinet environment, so I may move her into the cabinet and just see if that kind of spurs on any growth. In the meantime, she's just been kind of sitting on my Vitsjo in like I'll show you guys a clip. I'll show you guys a clip. But yeah, I'm just kind of hoping that at some point it'll take off. I do think I see the start of what could be like a little growth point coming in here. But I'm not 100%. We'll just kind of have to see where it takes us. I have a massive Crimson Princess, and I absolutely love it. I have a Carnosa Wilbur Graves. Like any Hoya that I do have in this Carnosa sort of family seems to do really well for me. So I'm really hoping for good things here. Keeping in the tone of Hoyas, this is another one I'm not sure that I've shown you guys. I got it back in May. I picked it up from Blue Moon, and this is Hoya heuschkeliana. Hopefully I pronounced that well. Anyways, beautiful little plant. I know it sun stresses the most cutest shade of pink you've ever seen. But for some reason, I struggle. I struggle so much with these smaller leafed Hoyas, and I'm not sure why it is. I did repot it into this vessel. It does seem like it's on the bounce back. I do see some new growth down here on this little vine. So it does seem like it's established itself. I just think that Hoyas, at least for me, whenever I repot a Hoya, they tend to freak out. Like, I don't know. They tend to freak out, and it's like you will lose a little bit, but the vine that ends up, or the vines that end up doing all right, seem to flourish once it resettles, if that makes sense. But I also find that cutting my Hoyas sometimes will also encourage growth. So I did chop this maybe a couple weeks ago. I think I just took like a little snip here and there, and maybe that is what's kind of reigniting this plant. I really want it to do amazing things. I would really love a big pot of this. So I'm kind of hoping that just by putting it in this pot, it's going to be like it's maybe not forever home, but for a long time home. And I do have it in a window. I will show you guys a clip of where I'm keeping this along with its counterpart that I'm going to show you next, another newer acquisition Hoya. But if you guys have any tips on Hoya heuschkeliana, let me know. It is so beautiful. I'm really hoping to get a nice established plant. Next is Hoya polyneura Super Splash or Super Silver. I'm not 100% sure. It's missing the tag, which is weird. I normally always have a tag in my plants. I know I got this from Blue Moon. I believe it was on the same day that I got the other Hoya, the heuschkeliana. And the funny thing is I do struggle with Hoya polyneura. I do have the green form. It is currently rehabbing, so that's exciting. And my plan is to just put them all in the same pot together, hopefully. That is the plan. But for now, I have this one here. I have this dream of having a beautiful, lush pot of this plant. I think it is so stunning. But for some reason, it is one that I do struggle with. Hoyas are pretty hit or miss when it comes to how well I care for them. It seems like the thinner, smaller leafed Hoyas, or just the thinner leafed Hoyas, I seem to struggle with a bit more than like the Chelsea or the Carnosa varieties. But anyways, what a stunner. The variegation on her is, I don't even know if the camera's picking it up appropriately. It's absolutely beautiful. The exciting thing here is there is some new growth on this vine and on this vine here. So I'm thinking that she's liking her spot and maybe she's acclimated to this pot. I did repot her. I do tend to repot my plants pretty much immediately after purchasing. I may keep them for 3 or 4 days and then repot, up to, I would say, a week. Usually by their first watering with me, I have it repotted, and that's just because I know my soil, I know how quickly it dries out or how long it holds water, and so I just feel safer using my own soil. I also find that the plant already has to acclimate to its new environment, so I kind of just throw it in all the way, and it does sometimes take a little time for them to reestablish themselves, but when they do, and they usually always do, with the exception of like alocasia, you guys, I struggle so much with alocasia, they usually bounce back with vigor. So I'm pretty excited about this, and I'm hoping that one day I will have a beautiful lush pot of polyneura. Okay, you guys, next is a pretty big wish list plant for me. It's been on my wish list for a while. I was just kind of waiting for one to come along in my budget, and I did get this from Blue Moon Tropicals. I know I talk about them a lot on here, but I just adore them. They're a local grower. They do sell online, and I could not recommend anybody more than I recommend Haley and the team at Blue Moon. Like, if you're looking for a specific plant and they have it, I guarantee you're gonna love their plants. She just puts so much love into growing, and she's just a wonderful person. So I support her as much as I can. We work with them a lot at the plant swaps, and so you will just hear me talk about Blue Moon a lot, and that's because most of my plants do come from there. Anyways, this is Anthurium variegated vittarifolium, and look at the variegation. I got this back in June 24th to be exact, and it was so teeny, you guys. Like, I don't know. Let me take it out of the, check on these roots. I do have some nice little roots in there. Okay, so I don't know if you guys can see the little leaves that are dried up in there. I mean, she was tiny. So she did live in a cloche for a while, and then I finally felt like once this leaf came out, I kind of felt like, okay, she's gonna be fine. So this is her newest leaf. It's not going to expand anymore, but it still needs to fully harden off. And it appears that we have another one about to pop out. So it's just doing really, really well. I am so excited to have this. I have quite a bit of experience now with vittarifolium. I have 2 of the green form. I talked about them in my last video. They were on my favorites for August. I just love this plant so much. I love how it looks as a mature form, as a juvenile. Like, it's just so beautiful. So I do have it just in that clear pot so I can keep an eye on the roots and in this cashpo. I do like to make sure that there's always water in the cashpo, and there is, so that's a good thing. That means it is always having access to water in between my waterings, and I find that my anthuriums love that. So yeah, exciting. I will keep you guys updated on that one. I'm so excited to have it. All right, guys, this is the last one that we're going to be inside for. The other 2 are going to be outside. But last in here is Anthurium luxurians. And I am so stoked to have a lux. This was her last leaf that she put out. And this is her most current that she's still working on. What a joy, what a beautiful Anthurium, and what an absolute pleasure to grow. Just stunning. The leaves were super duper silvery in the beginning. They still have a bit of a silver hue to them, but it is definitely starting to darken up a bit, and that's a-okay with me. I just think the texture, the soft pink sort of coral color. I did get this one from EFG Orchids. I did mention them in my last video. Between Blue Moon, I would say EFG is another one that I frequent often and support locally. They do not sell online from what I gather, so it's just one of those amazing local places. I wish I could teleport you guys here because I am fortunate that I do live pretty close to like the mecca of growing, and so I do get the opportunity to go to some of these places like Equigenera and Blue Moon and EFG, and it's always a pleasure going there, and supporting them is always a pleasure because they are all very kind people. But what a specimen. I am just delighted with it. It was so teeny tiny. This was actually the first leaf that it put out in my care. So I don't even know if you guys can see, but they were so tiny, so tiny. That's an original leaf right there. So itty bitty. And so to see her doing so well, I do keep her down in the bottom of my Millsbow, kind of shaded a little bit. I feel like she does a little bit better down there in terms of just keeping this beautiful, you know, coloring to the leaves. I feel like when I put her higher, she tends to bleach a little bit easier than some of my others, but I mean, these emergent leaves are just stunning. I mean, the venation behind, let me move that. 360, this plant is just gorgeous. It's been pretty easy to grow. Maybe a little slower than some of my others, but I do have to keep in mind I got this back in May, so not too long ago, and it was very tiny. So all right guys, next up on my recent acquisitions is actually from the big box, and this is Hoya lacunosa. I am so surprised at how massive, like, this basket, so full, so full. Beautiful, tons of new growth. This thing is just like exploding everywhere. And I decided to go ahead and put her outside in the pergola because I do have a lot of luck growing Hoya out in this pergola. And so yeah, I just have her kind of hanging out. Let me see if I can get you a view of the other side. I believe I paid 20 bucks. This is from Costa, or is a Costa plant. She did just recently get watered, but my goodness, like, gorgeous. I would love to see some blooms at some point. It's so funny. I have some amazing full Hoyas. I'm fortunate that they, you know, like this Chelsea, another one that I had found at the big box, growing like crazy. And they just don't want to bloom for me. I don't know, guys. They grow like crazy. If you saw my last video, I have a beautiful pubicalic splash, and it's never bloomed for me, but it is absolutely massive. So yeah, that is a recent big box purchase. And then last is this gorgeous butterfly bush,
or Swallowtail. This is an annual. It says, I know these were floating around the internet for a while for good reason. They're absolutely so beautiful. It did stay in my house for maybe 3 weeks or so, and then I just saw it declining. So I did put it outside. It's kind of living in this sort of area next to my monstera, just right over in here, under my monstera, and kind of just behind my summer glory and my gloriosum in that empty spot. And it has absolutely thrived there, but I thought I would show you just how delicate this plant is. You see it online and it looks, I don't know, I thought it was different. It was, I don't know. But I did see one at a local nursery and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna bring that home. Beautiful. I do have plenty of garden space. But because it's an annual, I'm afraid that it will die off in the winter. So maybe it's one that, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to do. What would you guys do?
All right, you guys, last one. I forgot about this one. On my way back in, I saw it was like facing me, and I don't remember if I've shown you this one or not, but this is Anthurium Queen of Hearts. I can't remember the last, like, I can't remember when I picked her up. I don't think it's been like that long ago. Maybe I've shown her on here. I don't remember. If I don't remember, I probably haven't shown her. So this is Anthurium Queen of Hearts. I think I got her back in May, perhaps. So it's been a few months with her. There's definitely been an acclimation period. I have found this one to be a little bit more challenging to grow than some of my other anthuriums. I did get this from Blue Moon. We have definitely gone through an acclimation period, so there's definitely been some torn leaves. There is some browning on some of the leaves, so I'm thinking that could possibly be this plant has just outgrown this space in this terracotta pot. It's a pretty large pot, and let's see. I can't tell if there's roots at the bottom or not, but because I'm seeing these sort of browning like on the tips and the edges, I am going to pull this out of the pot and see what's going on. That will be in a upcoming plant chores situation, and I will keep you guys posted. But for now, I just wanted to show you how beautiful she is despite having a few of those blemishes. She's a bit heavy, but I love how dark her foliage is. I don't think the camera's even really picking it up, but when these leaves do emerge, they are quite obvious and the most beautiful burgundy, deep burgundy in comparison to like the dark green foliage of the mature leaves. So yeah, absolutely stunning plant. A little bit more difficult to grow, like I said, than some of my others, but I think we are kind of figuring each other out. And I think once I see what these roots look like, I'll be able to diagnose any issues and we will go from there. All right, you guys, that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you will consider subscribing. It helps my channel so much. And don't forget to leave a comment down below. Tell me what your most recent plant acquisition is, and was it one that was on your wish list? That is something that I am trying to be much better about, is strictly purchasing plants that I've been pining over or wanting for a while, or if it's not specifically on my wish list, I've been trying to either get it from a cutting, so not something like a swap, or I don't know, guys. I've just been trying to be a little more strategic about my plant purchases, what I'm keeping around here. So tell me if your recent plant purchase was a wish list. Yeah, Tell me if it was a wish list. All right, guys, see you in the next one.